Lesson 1, Understanding Criminology. So, criminology is the study of crimes, criminal, and criminal behavior. According to Edwin Sutherland, criminology is the body of knowledge regarding crime as social phenomena. It includes the process of making laws, breaking laws, and reacting towards the breaking of the laws. According to Manalo and Herschel, criminology is a scientific and humanistic study of social process of identifying crimes, criminals, and compatible solution. Physiognomy is the study of facial features of the criminals. Phrenology is the study of shape of the skulls and bumps of the head to determine whether these physical attributes were linked to criminal behavior. There are 4 divisions of criminology: the criminal etiology, sociology of law, penology or correction, and the criminalistics or forensic science. Criminal etiology is the scientific analysis of the causes of crime. Sociology of law is the study of law, its nature, and application. Penology or correction is the study that deals with punishment and the treatment of criminals. Criminalistics or forensic science is the study which deals with identification, examination, analysis, and interpretation of physical evidence. There are 4 natures of criminology: an applied science, a social science, dynamic, and nationalistic. An applied science: anthropology, psychology, sociology, and other natural sciences may be applied in the study of the causes of crime, while chemistry, medicine, physics, mathematics may be utilized in crime detection. A social science, inasmuch as crime is a societal creation and it exists in a society, its study must be considered a part of social science. Dynamic: criminology changes as social condition changes. It also means that the progress of criminology is concordant with the advancement of other sciences that have been applied to it. Nationalistic: the study of crime must always be in relation with the existing criminal law within the territory. Objects of interest in criminology. The 4 major objects of interest in criminology are crimes or the criminal act, criminals or the perpetrators of crime, criminal behavior, and the study of victim. Crimes. Crime may be defined as an act or omission in violation of a criminal law on its legal point. An antisocial act: an act that is injurious, detrimental, or harmful to the norms of the society. They are unacceptable acts in its social definition. Psychologically, it is an act which is considered undesirable due to the behavioral maladjustment of the offender. Acts that are caused by maladaptive or abnormal behavior. Crime is also a generic name that refers to offense, is an act or omission that is punishable by special laws. Felony is an act or omission that is punishable by the revised penal code. Delinquency or misdemeanor: acts that are in violation of simple rules and regulations, usually referring to acts committed by the minor offenders. Infraction of law: acts that are in violation of ordinances. Criminological classifications of crime. Acquisitive and extinctive crime. Acquisitive crime is one which, when committed, the offender acquires something as a consequence of his criminal act, while extinctive crime is one which, when the result of criminal act, is destruction. Seasonal and situational crimes. Seasonal crimes are those that are committed only at a certain period of the year, while situational crimes are those that are committed only when a given situation conducive to its commission. Episodic and instant crimes. Episodic crimes are serial crime. They are committed by series of acts within a lengthy space of time, while instant crimes are those that are committed the shortest possible of time. Static and continuing crimes. Static crimes are crimes that are committed only in one place, while continuing crime are crimes that are committed in several places. Rational and irrational crimes. Rational crimes are those committed with intent. Offender is in full possession of his mental faculties or capabilities, while irrational crimes are committed without intent. The offender does not know the nature of his act. White-collar and blue-collar crimes. White-collar crimes are those committed by a person of responsibility and of upper socioeconomic class in the course of their occupational activities, while blue-collar crimes are those committed by ordinary professionals to maintain their livelihood. Upper world and underworld crimes. Upper world crimes are those committed by individuals belonging to the upper class of the society, while underworld crimes are committed by members of the lower or underprivileged class of society. Crimes by imitation and crimes by passion. Crimes by imitation are crimes committed by merely duplication of what was done by others, while crime by passion are crimes committed because of the fit of great emotions. Service crimes. Service crimes refer to the crimes committed through rendition of a service to satisfy desire of another. Criminal according to legal definition. A person who has committed a crime and has been convicted by a court of the violation of a criminal law. In social definition, a person who violated a social norm or one who did an antisocial act. In psychological definition, a person who violated rules of conduct due to behavioral maladjustment. Criminological classifications of criminal based on etiology. 1. Acute criminal is one who violates a criminal law because of the impulse or fit of passion. They commit passionate crimes. 2. Chronic criminal is one who commits crimes acted in consonance of deliberated thinking. They plan the crime ahead of time. They are the targeted offenders. Based on behavioral system, 1. Ordinary criminal is considered the lowest form of criminal in a criminal career. Does not stick to crime as a profession, but rather push to commit crimes due to great opportunity. 2. Organized criminal is one associates himself with another criminals to earn a high degree of organization to enable them to commit crimes easily without being detected by authorities. 3. Professional criminal is a person who is engaged in criminal activities with high degree. Based on activities, professional criminals are those who practice crime as a profession for a living. Criminal activity is constant in order to earn skill and develop ability in their commission. Accidental criminals are those who commit crimes when the situation is conducive to its commission. Habitual criminals are those who continue to commit crime because of deficiency of intelligence and lack of self-control. Based on mental attitudes, active criminals are those who commit crimes due to aggressiveness. Passive, inadequate criminals are those who commit crimes because they are pushed to it by reward or promise. Social delinquents are criminals who are normal in behavior but defective in their socialization process or development. Based on legal classification, habitual delinquent is a person who within a person of 10 years from the date of his release or last conviction of the crime of serious or less serious physical injuries, robbery, staffa, or falsification is found guilty of any of the said crimes or a third-time offender. Recidivist is one who at the time of his trial for one crime shall have been previously convicted by final judgment of another crime embraced on the same title of the revised penal code. Criminal behavior is an intentional behavior that violates the criminal code. It also refers to the study of the human conduct focused on mental processes of the criminal. Victimology is simply the study of victims of crimes and contributory role, if any, in crime causation. It is also the scientific process of gaining substantial amounts of knowledge on offender characteristics by studying the nature of victims. Lesson 2. Approaches and Theories of Crime. Subjective approach. It deals with the biological explanation of crime, focused on the forms of abnormalities that exist in an individual before and after the commission of the crime. Under the subjective approach are anthropological, medical approach, biological approach, physiological approach, psychological approach, psychiatric approach, psychoanalytical approach. Objective approach. It deals with the study of groups, social processes, and institutions as influence to behavior. Under the objective approach are geographical approach, ecological approach, economic approach, and sociocultural approach. Contemporary approach. It is the combination of different approaches to explain the reasons or causes for the commission of crimes, which focuses on the psychoanalytical, psychiatric, and sociological theories. Early beginnings. Demonological theory. It asserts that a person commits wrongful acts due to the fact that he was possessed by demons. Criminology has been divided into three broad schools: the classical, neoclassical, and positivist. The basis of criminal liability is human free will, and the purpose of penalty is retribution in classical school. Neoclassical school of thought. This school argued that there are situations or circumstances that make it impossible to exercise free will, and this is a reason to exempt the offender from conviction. Positivist school or Italian school. This school of thought emphasizes scientific treatment of criminals, not on penalties to be imposed, because it is believed that man is subdued occasionally by a strange and morbid phenomenon which constrains him to do wrong in spite of or contrary to his own volition. Holy Tree of Modern Criminology. Dr. Cesar Lombroso, father of modern criminology, Enrico Ferri, best parliamentarian, and Rafael Garofalo. Dr. Cesar Lombroso, the father of modern criminology, wrote Crime, Its Causes and Remedies, which contains the classification of criminals. Born criminal, based on the belief that criminal behavior is inherited. Criminal by passion, a person who commits crime due to extreme emotion, impulse of the moment, fit of passion, great anger, or jealousy. Criminaloid, an individual who commits crime because of weak self-control or less physical stigmata. Insane criminal, a person who commits crime by reason of his psychological disorder or mental abnormalities. Occasional criminal, one who commits crime due to insignificant reasons that push them to do at a given situation. Pseudo-criminal, an individual who kills a person in self-defense. Comparison between classical and positivist school. In classical school, legal definition of crime, punishment fit the crime, doctrine of free will, death penalty allowed, no empirical research, definite sentence. In positivist school, no to legal definition of crime, punishment fit the crime, doctrine of determinism, abolition of death penalty, inductive method, indeterminate sentence. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, developed psychoanalytical theory. Criminality is manifestation of psychological conflict, and the criminal behavior is a form of neurosis. Crimes happen due to poor moral development, inadequate childhood socialization, defective conscience, or emotional maturity. Freud suggested three elements of personality: the id, ego, and superego. Human ecology. Human ecology is the study of the interrelationship of people and environment. This explains the relationship of people and environment in relation to crime. There are three major types of physique: asthenic, athletic, and picnic. There are three Sheldon's classification of body physique: endomorphy, mesomorphy, and ectomorphy. Differential association theory. Simply believe that criminal behavior is learned, not inherited. Containment theory. This theory is a form of control which suggests that a series of both internal and external factors contributes to criminal behavior. All in all, I realized that there's a lot of theories and approaches about crime. I learned that the penalty of positivist is to rehabilitate and to have treatment, while the penalty of classical is retribution, which it is the payment for the crime committed. I agree to the statement that low IQs tends to commit crime because, in my opinion, they are easily to be influenced by others and they have low conscience. Lesson 3. Study of criminal behavior. Conscious or unconscious behavior. Behavior is conscious when acts are within the level of awareness. It is unconscious when acts are embedded in one's subconscious unaware. Determinants of behavior. Heredity. This refers to the genetic influences, those that are explained by heredity, the characteristics of a person acquired from birth transferred from one generation to another. It is the primary basis of the idea concerning criminal behavior, the concept that criminals are born. Environmental factors. This refers to anything around the person that influences his action. Classification of behavior. Normal behavior, adaptive or adjusted behavior. The standard behavior, the totally accepted behavior because they follow the standard norms of society. Abnormal behavior, maladaptive and maladjusted behavior. A group of behaviors that is deviant from social expectations because they go against the norms or standard behavior of society. Kinds of behavior: overt or covert behavior. behaviors that are outwardly manifested or those that are directly observable are overt behaviors. On the other hand, the covert behaviors are behaviors that are hidden, not visible to the naked eye. Simple or complex behavior. These are acts according to the number of neutrons involved in the process of behaving. Simple behavior involves less number of neutrons, while complex behavior involves more numbers of neutrons. Rational or irrational behavior. This is rational behavior when a person acted with sanity or reason, and there is irrational behavior when the person acted with no apparent reason or explanation. Voluntary or involuntary behavior. Voluntary behavior is an act done with full volition or will, such as when we discriminate, decide, or choose, while involuntary behaviors refers the bodily processes that falls on even when we are awake or asleep, like respiration, circulation, and digestion. Aspects of behavior: intellectual aspect, emotional aspect, social aspect, moral aspect, psychosexual aspect, political aspect, and value or attitude. The criminal formula. In explaining the birth of criminal behavior, we must consider three factors: the criminalistic tendency, the total situation, and the person's mental and emotional resistance to temptation. Other determinants of behavior: needs and drives. Need, according to a drive reduction theory, is a biological requirement for well-being of the individual. This need creates drives, a psychological state of arousal that prompts someone to take action. Motivation refers to the influences that govern the initiation, direction, intensity, and persistence of behavior. Refers to the causes and whys of behavior by need. Is a hypothetical concept that stands for the underlying force impelling behavior and giving its direction. The needs can be classified as biological or psychological needs. Maslow's hierarchy of need. Biological or physiological needs. Safety needs, love or belongingness, cognitive needs, esteem needs, aesthetic needs, and self-actualization. Frustration, conflict, and anxiety. Frustration refers to the unpleasant feelings that result from the blocking of motive satisfaction. It is form of stress which results tension. Conflict refers to the simultaneous arousal of two or more incompatible motives resulting to unpleasant emotions. There are 4 different types of conflicts. This is the defense mechanisms: sublimation, repression, regression, denial or intellectualization, projection, fixation, undoing, reaction formation, and displacement. In our first meeting, which is the understanding criminology, I realized that criminology has a broad scope in our democratic country. Understanding and learning criminology subject is not easy because it has a lot of terms that I must know since I am a criminology student. Also, I agree with what you have said that those who were released in prison commits another violation in law is because the way of treatment and counseling of the correction is inadequate and not enough for the violators to change. In our second meeting, which is the objects of interest in criminology and criminological classification of crime, before, I thought that studying criminology is just about knowing the crimes and behavior of a criminal, but now I realize that there is a study about the victims too. I learned that crime has generic names that depends on who is the offender and what did he or she violates. I also learned that we have different classifications of crime, and a crime will be classified based on how the crime happened or on the scenario. In our third meeting, which is the legal classification of crimes and criminological classifications of criminal, I learned that the arrest without legal grounds is called arbitrary detention. If you arrest a person without a warrant, you can only detain him or her for 12 hours, 18 hours, or 36 hours. And the only officer who can detain a person is the one who have power to arrest. I learned that what is the differences about counterfeiting, forgery, and falsification. Counterfeiting refers to money. Forgery is an act of making copy of a document illegally, and falsification is an act of changing a document illegally. I also learned the difference between murder and homicide. They are both unlawful acts, but murder has qualified circumstances and homicide is without qualified circumstances. All in all, I was enlightened on the meaning of crimes and how they can be classified. In our fourth meeting, which is the approaches and theories of crime, I realized that there's a lot of theories and approaches about crime. I learned that the penalty of positivist is to rehabilitate and to have treatment, while the penalty of classical is retribution, which it is the payment for the crime committed. And I agree to the statement that low IQs tend to commit crime because, in my opinion, they are easily to be influenced by others and they have low conscience. In our fifth meeting, which is the study of criminal behavior, Lesson 3, which is the study of criminal behavior, makes me realize that stress and anxiety can be a reason why people commit crime. I learned that in studying criminal behavior, there are different kinds of conflict that depends in the situation occurred. I didn't expect that there is criminal formula in explaining the criminal behavior. I also realized that there are different kinds of determinants of behavior relating to the study of criminal behavior. In our sixth meeting, which is the patterns of criminal behavior and continuation of study of criminal behavior. In our discussion, I realized that there are lots of disorder in order to know the behavior of a criminal. When I was young, my mom told me that I was sleepwalking late at night and I thought that it was fine, but now I realized that it is not and it is a kind of disorder. I also realized that there are many sexual behaviors leading to sex crimes. In our seventh meeting, which is the crimes in the modern world, in our discussion, I learned that there are different kinds of robbers and there are a lot of group of crimes in modern world that can be known depends on situations and scenarios that happened. Also, I became more enlightened on how organized crime group works. In our eighth meeting, which is the correction, I learned that there are different types of jails because before I thought that jail is for those who are under of investigation and the purpose of jail is only for temporary confinement. I also learned that there are classifications of prisoners according to the degree of security because I thought that prisoners has the same security, but I learned that it is based on their classifications. I realized that it is a must that they have different security because I'm sure that if it's the same, many of the prisons are escaped. In our last discussion, which is the introduction to criminal investigation and criminalistics, I realized that our fingerprint is one of our possessions that we shouldn't cling to anything because our fingerprint can harm us. I also realized that a reason why a case taking a lot of time because the process regarding the evidences took a lot of time. Also, photographs are really important in investigation of crime, but before, I thought that the place where the crime or incident happened is the only important when investigating. But now, I learned that the photographs can help the investigator to reconstruct what really happened.